welcome to the 2025 GAC. I'm Sarah Snell Cooke, your host of the Carnegie Connection. I'm here today with the lovely Lynn Heckler.
Hello.
With Blue Strategy Group, and she's going to tell us about that, which is her new consulting firm. Lynn, why don't you give us a little of your background and the company?
Sure. So, first of all, thanks for having me, Sarah. I appreciate it. And I really grew up in the talent space, and for the last 22 years in the credit union industry. And my background is really strategic human resources, culture, talent management, all things people. I mean, I've really dealt with every piece of people strategy my entire career. So I retired back in March. I said I retired and then I refired. Took a few weeks off, and then I've been working with a group of amazing women, and we formed a consulting firm called Bluepact Strategy Group. And essentially, we are a woman-owned business. There's 4 partners, and we work at the intersection of employee insights and consumer or member insights. We've built some proprietary tools to mine that data, bring the insights together, analyze it, and then help credit unions and other financial institutions create strategic roadmaps so they can align their brand and their internal culture. So I'm doing a lot of work on the people side. I have partners that work on the marketing side, and they can do everything from a rebrand to original marketing strategy and positioning. But most of the work that I'm doing is really on the employee and organizational culture side. Mm-hmm. So the kinds of things we'd get into would be culture transformation, employee engagement work, employee experience work, all this stuff I love to do.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's sort of my dream job.
And I could tell, by the way, you were talking on our roundtable the other day.
That was so much fun.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to join us. Why don't you give us maybe the bullet points of what you talked about as far as organizations and how they're able to help boost employee engagement?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So last week we did, through CU Connection, a wonderful roundtable. And the perspective that I took, and there were others that took it from a different perspective, is really first of all, what is employee engagement, and how can organizations best position themselves to maximize employee engagement? And honestly, the first thing I talked about was really understanding what engagement is and what engagement isn't, and making sure that you're actually measuring engagement when you decide to go down this path. So there's a lot of instruments out there, but the reality is there are some true drivers of engagement that are very different from employee satisfaction. And just make sure that you're working with an organization or a survey tool that measures true engagement. And the other things that I would mention are, the reality is that it's about doing something with the information that you get from your employees. So it's one thing to survey employees, and it's another thing to actually move the needle on engagement. And so it's really critical to make sure that you're doing the action planning at the departmental level to move things forward from an engagement perspective. So those are just like some of the highlights of the things that we talked about.
And there's got to be so much complexity today, because you still have boomers working, you still have Gen X working for another 10 or 15 years. Then you've got the millennials and the Gen Zs, and we're probably going to come up with Gen Alpha before too long. How do you create engagement or engagement processes that appeal to all those?
So that's a really great question, and kind of the neat thing is the survey tools that we've built take generational differences into account. And so we're not working with like anecdotal data about what boomers like and what Gen X and what Gen Y likes. We're actually able to segment the data that we gain from your employee base and your consumers in a generational perspective. So like the first study that we did was actually in the hospitality industry, and it was about trust and what trust means both from an employer perspective, but also from a brand perspective. And we were able to take that data and really refine it in terms of what it means, what trust means to the different generations. And it's very, very different. You know, what trust means to a boomer versus what trust means to Gen X. So yeah, for us, it's really about
Gen X doesn't trust
I know.
anybody.
For us, it's really everything we do is insights based and truly taking a data-driven approach to people, and we found that it's extremely effective.
I'm going to flip the coin on you a little bit. So employee engagement is kind of like one of those soft, fuzzy things.
Yes.
It's not, but it is. So how do you tie it into the financials when you're trying to sell it to your C-suite?
So you're not giving me any softballs today, right?
My bad.
I know. I'm only kidding, Sarah. So first of all, the data exists out there. The research exists to be able to tie engagement to higher productivity, better innovation, better retention. All of that has been proven. So my advice is use the data, use the research that exists out there. You know, Gallup and a lot of the larger research organizations have made the business case for engagement years ago. You know, we know that information has been proven, you know, has been factually proven. So if I were, you know, starting out to try to make the case for improving employee engagement, I would go right to that data and use it.
Awesome. So thank you so much for joining us.
You're
I appreciate
welcome.
it. I'm going to let you have the last word. What would you like to part our credit union audience, words of wisdom you'd like to part with today?
Thanks. So from my perspective, really, having been in the people side of the business for as many years as I have, I think that it is the overlooked and often the secret ingredient to success. Credit union success, particularly merger and acquisition success, you've got to pay attention to the culture, to the employee experience, because that is what drives your brand.
Right.
That is really what makes your brand and your credit union.
And tells a story. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Sarah. Thank you.